unavailable to most staff. As the balance of power tips further toward employers in a cooling job market, companies have less reason to offer flexibility. The result is a widening gap between leadership priorities and employee needs. Policies that favor executive comfort and control may deliver short-term stability, but they risk alienating the very people whose ideas and energy drive the business forward. Under these conditions, the long-term consequences become harder to ignore. When decision-making is concentrated at the top and rooted in preserving traditional structures, the space for new ideas and genuine innovation shrinks. This shift in power dynamics doesn't just affect morale, it shapes the future of what companies can achieve. The innovation drain. Innovation inside organizations depends on more than just talent or resources. It relies on the conditions that allow novel ideas to surface and grow. The shift toward remote work has quietly changed those conditions, and the results are showing up in how companies generate new products, services, and intellectual property. While the debate about office mandates continues, data from across industries points to a clear pattern. When employees have more autonomy and fewer interruptions, they consistently produce more innovative work. Studies find that remote software teams file 13% more patents than those working in traditional office environments. This isn't an isolated trend. Across engineering, design, and technical fields, remote workers report 27% higher innovation levels, according to Stanford and Owl Labs research. The explanation is straightforward. Deep focus, periods of uninterrupted concentration, are much easier to achieve outside the distractions of a physical office. In contrast, mandatory in-person collaboration often leads to groupthink, where consensus overrides original thinking and the pressure to conform stifles creative risk-taking. Hybrid and office-first mandates tend to reduce innovation outputs by up to 20%, a figure supported by multiple studies spanning sectors from technology to healthcare. When companies require regular office attendance, employees spend more time commuting, preparing for meetings, and navigating office politics. The time and energy lost to these routines directly subtract from the hours available for deep, creative work. As a result, fewer patentable ideas are generated, and the quality of those ideas can decline. Diversity plays a crucial role in innovation, and remote work expands access to a wider range of perspectives. A Wharton study found that remote job postings draw 15% more applications from women and 33% more from underrepresented minorities. This broader talent pool feeds into more original solutions and breakthrough ideas, which are less likely to emerge in homogeneous, office-bound teams. Companies that maintain flexible work policies are better positioned to tap into these diverse viewpoints, which is increasingly important in a global business landscape. The technological shift is also shaping innovation. Generative AI, virtual reality, and advanced collaboration tools are enabling distributed teams to work together on complex projects in ways that were previously impossible. McKinsey reports that generative AI can automate up to 70% of routine tasks, freeing up employees to focus on higher-level problem-solving and creative work. Virtual workspaces and asynchronous communication allow teams to contribute across time zones, further increasing the volume and quality of new ideas. However, these benefits are not automatic. Organizations that simply offer flexibility without investing in the right training or technology often see the opposite effect: communication breakdowns, disengagement, and missed opportunities. Gallup research shows that only 28% of managers have received formal training in leading hybrid or remote teams. Without this support, even the most talented employees can struggle to collaborate effectively or turn new ideas into real products. The long-term risk for companies that prioritize office mandates over innovation is difficult to overstate. Patent portfolios, new product pipelines, and breakthrough solutions are built over years. When innovation slows, the effects may not be visible in quarterly reports, but the competitive disadvantage compounds over time. Firms that fail to adapt may find themselves outpaced by more flexible competitors who are better able to attract and retain creative talent. This innovation drain creates hidden costs that don't show up in standard financial statements. While companies focus on filling office space and maintaining traditional routines, they may be overlooking the true drivers of future growth. The consequences are not limited to missed business opportunities. They also show up in the day-to-day experiences of employees as pressures mount and the workplace becomes less conducive to meaningful work. The wellness trade-off. The wellness trade-off is becoming impossible for companies to ignore. Office workers consistently report higher stress levels and take more sick days than their remote counterparts. A 2025 study found a 23% gap in stress and a 15% increase in absenteeism among those required to commute. The traditional office environment, shaped by long commutes, rigid schedules, and constant social pressures, feeds into burnout and chronic health issues. The result is not only higher healthcare costs for employers, but also a workforce that is less resilient and more prone to disengagement. Commuting remains a major driver of stress. Office workers spend close to 8 hours each week just traveling to and from their jobs. This lost time, combined with the unpredictability of traffic, public transit delays, and the need to arrange childcare or pet care, adds another layer of anxiety. The impact isn't just psychological. Studies show that those who commute daily report higher blood pressure and more frequent doctor visits for stress-related conditions. Yet, instead of addressing the root causes, many companies focus on surface-level perks, meditation rooms, nap pods, and free snacks that do little to counteract the daily grind. Financial strain compounds the problem. For many employees, the extra costs of office work, transportation, meals, and business attire amount to a significant pay cut. Research highlights that these expenses can total several $1,000s per year, hitting lower and mid-level employees the hardest. Despite this, the most common corporate response is to offer small perks or financial literacy workshops, rather than address compensation or provide real flexibility. The physical office itself rarely helps. Open-plan layouts, designed to foster collaboration, often lead to more interruptions and higher stress. Employees in these environments report more distractions, increased noise, and elevated cortisol levels. The most requested office amenities are not game rooms or gyms, but quiet spaces and privacy, features that less than half of employees say their offices provide. While some companies are investing in redesigns, most workplaces still fall short of supporting true well-being. Presenteeism, the pressure to show up even when unwell, remains a persistent issue. Office workers are more likely to attend work while sick, increasing the risk of spreading illness and driving up indirect costs for employers. Remote workers, by contrast, take fewer sick days and are more likely to seek preventative care, leading to better health outcomes overall. Mental health is another area where remote work has clear advantages, but also some trade-offs. Fully remote workers are the most engaged at work, according to Gallup, but they are less likely to say they are thriving in their lives overall compared to hybrid or on-site peers. The lack of in-person interaction can contribute to feelings of isolation and loneliness, especially when companies do not invest in intentional connection or support structures. Still, office workers report higher rates of anxiety and depression, with many unable to access mental health resources during the workday. Utilization rates for employee assistance programs remain low, especially when services are only available on-site or during limited hours. Generational differences shape wellness needs as well. Younger employees are more likely to prioritize mental health days and flexible schedules, while traditional wellness offerings, like on-site gyms, see little use among these groups. Companies that adapt to these preferences by offering mental health resources, flexible time off, and digital wellness platforms see higher engagement and lower turnover among early career staff. Financial wellness is closely tied to overall well-being. A majority of office workers report daily worries about money, far more than their remote peers. While financial wellness programs can help, they are most effective when paired with policies that address the underlying costs and pressures of in-person work. Transparent communication, fair wages, and reasonable hours do more to support employee health than any single program or perk. The pattern is clear. Organizations that prioritize people-centered policies, fair pay, flexible work, and support for physical, mental, and financial health build more resilient and productive teams. Those that focus on visible but superficial wellness initiatives miss the real drivers of employee well-being. As companies weigh the costs and benefits of their workplace strategies, the trade-offs around wellness will only become more pronounced. The coming months will force difficult decisions about which priorities truly matter and which approaches are sustainable. A major shift is underway in how companies approach their office footprints. After years of uncertainty, the commercial real estate market is reaching a decisive moment. Lease expirations between 2026 and 2027 will require companies to make decisions on hundreds of billions of dollars in office space. Many organizations have already responded to changing work patterns. About 80% have downsized their office space since the pandemic began, and 75% plan further reductions. This is not a temporary adjustment, but a structural change in how businesses evaluate real estate. Companies that once saw large headquarters as a mark of prestige now focus on maximizing the value of smaller, more flexible spaces. Vacancy rates reflect the scale of this transformation. Nationally, office vacancies hover around 20%, with wide variations across major cities. New York's rate is 13.3%, while San Francisco's sits at 22.1%. These numbers reveal a market in flux, with no single approach dominating. Some firms have moved quickly to adapt. Companies like Dropbox and Atlassian have shifted to remote-first models, treating offices as optional collaboration hubs. For them, the benefits are clear: lower costs, improved productivity, and the freedom to hire from a wider talent pool. By locking in flexible work policies early, they avoid the financial strain of underused real estate. Other sectors face more complicated choices. Law firms and financial institutions have long relied on prestigious addresses to signal stability and trust. For these organizations, downsizing offices means rethinking not just their physical space, but their entire brand identity. Many are caught in the middle, mandating office returns for some staff, while quietly making exceptions for top performers. These mixed policies delay hard decisions, but as lease renewals approach, the underlying economics become harder to ignore. Landlords and municipal governments add further complexity. Many property owners offer rent reductions or incentives for maintaining high occupancy rates, while cities tie business tax breaks to office utilization. Boston, for example, estimates that underutilized office space could cost the city more than $80 million in lost revenue, putting pressure on companies to keep employees coming in. These arrangements encourage firms to keep offices fuller than necessary, even when productivity data suggests otherwise. The result is a patchwork of short-term fixes that cannot hold as the financial realities become more pressing. The next phase will separate companies that act decisively from those that delay. Firms willing to align their real estate strategies with actual work patterns will see lasting benefits in cost, talent, and operational flexibility. Early adopters are already attracting better candidates at lower costs, while those clinging to office-centric models pay more for less satisfied employees. The contrast is especially clear in sectors like finance and technology. Banks that enforce strict office mandates risk losing top analysts to competitors offering flexibility. In tech, companies built around distributed teams avoid the overhead of expensive campuses and redirect resources to growth and innovation. Workforce dynamics are accelerating these trends. Younger employees, especially Gen Z, increasingly reject traditional office requirements. Companies that insist on daily attendance face shrinking talent pools and higher attrition, while those that embrace remote work report lower turnover and more diverse hiring pipelines. The evidence from firms like Airbnb, which saw a significant drop in attrition after adopting permanent remote policies, highlights the compounding advantages of flexibility. At the same time, the options for companies are narrowing. Converting office buildings to other uses, such as residential space, remains costly and impractical in most cases. With long-term leases expiring and fewer financial incentives to maintain large footprints, the pressure to downsize will only intensify. The structural challenges in commercial real estate, high vacancy rates, slow-moving lease cycles, and limited conversion opportunities, mean that this reckoning cannot be postponed indefinitely. Some industries will face especially tough adjustments. Healthcare systems, retail banks, and organizations with extensive administrative offices must balance long-standing real estate commitments against changing workforce needs and digital transformation. The decisions made in the coming months will have lasting implications for cost structure, talent strategy, and business resilience. As companies navigate these choices, the data consistently favors flexibility. Remote and hybrid work models deliver measurable gains in productivity, cost savings, and employee satisfaction. Yet, with billions in lease decisions approaching, many organizations remain caught between old assumptions and new realities. The firms that adapt their property strategies to match the way their teams actually work will be positioned to succeed. while those that hesitate risk falling behind. This moment of reckoning will not just reshape office skylines. It will define which organizations are prepared for the future of work. As companies weigh their next moves, the reality is clear. Despite well-documented savings from remote work, real estate debt, and entrenched management practices continue to shape office policies. Skilled professionals overwhelmingly prioritize flexible roles. 62% now seek remote options, leaving firms with strict office mandates at a disadvantage in today's job market. Companies like GitLab, which adopted remote first early on, have seen stronger retention and broader access to talent, while others struggle to keep pace. The choice ahead is not just about cost or tradition, but about aligning workplace strategy with proven outcomes and employee needs. If your organization is navigating these changes, or if you've experienced the impact firsthand, share your thoughts or solutions in the comments below. What policies do you think actually work?